Listen, I don't want any more bullshit.
Well, if there's one thing that I know most likely you are in your feelings. This is difficult, right? 2 straight weeks on national television, 2 straight losses, both of them embarrassing really for different reasons. The first one because even though our offense wasn't fucking great as usual, there's no way our defense should have got sliced and diced up by Kenny Pickett, a guy who, was he a second, third round draft choice who they're not even sure if he's their guy. He hadn't really looked any good until against our defense. He just sliced and diced them up in the second half. And then, of course, last week on Sunday Night Football, we have a really weird game that ends up embarrassing. In the third quarter, it's 21-19. The Colts are right there. And then we give up 33 points. And I don't know how many turnovers, 2 or 3, maybe 4 in the fourth quarter. And it turns into a 54-19 ass-whooping laugher. With the Vikings coming up on national television this Saturday. And so look, I get it. I'm on Colts Twitter. Everybody's in their fucking feelings. Everybody except, guess who? That's right, your guy. Me. I'm here for you. I'm here for you to break down what happened, what's going on, and what's going to happen without any bullshit. So let's dive into that because we need this conversation without any bullshit. Just the facts, more than ever. Matt Ryan is the latest whipping boy all the fans want, run out of town. But look, however you feel about it, I'm going to dive into the elephant in the room and explain to you why Matt Ryan is still the starter, as I told you he would and should be. But I'm going to tell you who the real person you should have beef with is, and I'm going to make a hell of a case for it. All right? So let's dive into it, but before we do, let me be the gracious host that you always love and welcome you back, or if it's your first time, welcome you to the #1 uncensored NFL podcast on the planet, the often imitated, never duplicated, always original, always controversial, always entertaining, and always keeping it 100 at all times, the one and only, world's famous, bullshit-free Colts podcast. The one place, if there's nowhere else. This is the one place on the planet, homie, where you can hear all things about our beloved Indianapolis Colts. But here, baby, you get them with no coach speak, no PR, no PC political correctness, no spin, and especially important, especially now, 100% no fucking bullshit. I'm your host, Harkon Ajala, at your motherfucking service, as always. And you know what? Let's get into this because there's a lot to talk about in this one, and I know you need to purge. You need to purge your emotions after this one. This one was rough. So I'm going to dive right in, but before I do, real quick, I need you to do one thing for me. I need you to take your cool-ass, pimp-ass finger and smash that like button for me so the algorithm shares this podcast far and wide with other cool motherfuckers like yourself who bleed blue. Make sure you subscribe, share this with somebody else who can appreciate it. And if you want to support the podcast, you can do it right below. Just click the link and you can send us $1. That's all we ask for to keep things going, all right? All right, so with that, let's dive in. Or say it the other way you'd love to hear me say it. Let's chop it the fuck up. Okay, let's start with the elephant in the room, all right? Everybody's talking about Matt Ryan, one way or another. And, you know, it's become popular. This Matt Ryan is cooked. His arm is cooked. He's washed. Get him out of here, blah, blah, blah. All right, here's what I will say. Last week's game against the Cowboys may have been Matt Ryan's worst quarter of play. Maybe since he's been with the Colts in a lot of ways. But what's weird about it is if you are able to disconnect from your feelings, you shouldn't be surprised at all. What you are seeing is a couple of things. First off, let's keep it 100. Let's talk about what is obvious, okay? The man is 37 years old, all right? He's on the tail end of his career. He's going to be retiring in a year or two, if not at the end of the season. So, yes, his arm is not as strong as it used to be. It is still strong enough to get the job done in the NFL, folks. And if you don't believe that, I promise you, take Matt Ryan, who, as he is right now, drop him on the 49ers, he'll be just fine. I guarantee you the 49ers wouldn't mind having him right now that Jimmy G is out. Remember, Jimmy G is very much like Matt Ryan right now. Very good leader, good at dump offs, the whole nine, doesn't have a super strong arm. He's a guy nobody really wants. But when you put him on a roster like the 49ers with that defense, that offensive line, that running game, that talent at the wide receiver position and in the skill positions, tight end, wide receiver, running back. You drop Jimmy G there, they had a legitimate shot at going to the Super Bowl. And that's why I told you guys at the beginning of this season, I don't run away from the shit I said. I felt the Colts had a legitimate shot of making a run towards contending for the Super Bowl this season with Matt Ryan. If, and this is a big if they got the same level of run blocking as last season and the pass blocking was upgraded. It was solid. Let's make no mistakes, last year, pass blocking wasn't great last year either. Carson Wentz just had the mobility to get out of some problems that were caused by the weak pass blocking. But it was bad last year too, just worse this year. And so for all you people out there that like to suggest wild, crazy, over-the-top, impetuous, impulsive moves, just throw in, why don't you bring Baker Mayfield here and throw him in? It can't get worse. Yes, it fucking can absolutely get worse. You guys didn't think anything could be any worse than Eric Fisher at left tackle. That's what you were saying last year. Put anybody in there. Just pull Eric Fisher out. It can't be any worse. Until you saw Matt Pryor this season at left tackle. Oh yeah, it can be worse. So I promise you, pass blocking wasn't good last season. It's even worse this season. Between fucking Matt Pryor on the offensive line itself, the only player that's really playing well right now, interestingly enough, the two tackles. Braden Smith has steadied himself. He's having a really good season now over the last 4 or 5 games. Bernard Raymond has had the last 2 games. He's actually had really good games. Last week, he had a couple big mistakes. But this game against the Dallas Cowboys, he held his own, did very well against a blistering pass rush. I believe he held the great Micah Parsons without a sack. Anyway, let's just keep it real and get back to Matt Ryan. Here's the deal, guys. Here's the deal. Whatever you want to say about Matt Ryan, he has been part of the problem, no doubt, especially against the Cowboys. It was maybe his worst game, but as I was saying earlier, you shouldn't be surprised, guys, because this is the situation Matt Ryan finds himself in. They're under pressure. They have been under pressure since he came back into the lineup. They had to beat the Raiders. They went home to play the Eagles. They really needed that win. Didn't get that one. Then they had to beat the Steelers on the road. Didn't. Or at home, sorry. Didn't. Then they really needed to beat the Cowboys, although, to be honest with you guys, look, this year, beating the Cowboys in Dallas wouldn't have been really something you would have been really high on being able to do, because they're a very good team this year. And they're healthy. And they got talent in a lot of places. So, I mean, to lose last night wasn't even a big thing. It's only the final quarter that makes it look so much worse than it really was. You had to assume they probably would lose that game. But the point I'm getting to is this. If you watch Matt Ryan over the last few weeks, what you have seen is the increased pressure of knowing, look, I need to make a play. The team doesn't have any room for error. I need to make a play every time I possibly can. I cannot depend on my protection. That is obvious by now, right? I probably only have a second, maybe 1.2 seconds back here. And I got to get something going. And if it goes any longer than that, you don't think he would have happy feet with the shit that he's been through this season? With the kind of bull rushes and bum rushes that have been unleashed upon him? The kind of pressure he's withstood? So you're seeing that play out. He's getting jumpy. He's getting panicky. He's trying to hurry up, trying to quickly get the ball out, even when it's not there. He's playing with wide receivers that don't have a lot of experience outside of MPJ. The rest of them are rookies or first, guys who are playing for the first year. It's not a prescription for success, folks. It really isn't. It's not a prescription for success for Matt Ryan or really any quarterback unless that quarterback is an elite superstar level quarterback. Like, you really need a special elite quarterback to overcome what's on the field right now, folks. Maybe if you had Andrew Luck out there, they would probably, instead of being 4-8-1, they would probably be, maybe they'd be 7-5-1. So you guys, what I'm telling you is, you can talk about run Matt Ryan out of here. He's cooked, his arm is washed, whatever, all you want to. You're right if you say he's not the future of this team. That's true. But if you're hollering for Nick Foles and Sam Ehlinger, and some of you motherfuckers out here talking about bringing Baker Mayfield, I mean, y'all motherfuckers wild. Y'all really done lost your fucking minds. The truth of the matter is, the best option on this team, if you want to win games, is still Matt Ryan. Sam Ehlinger hadn't thrown a single touchdown. You saw him. You saw what he could do. He got, 9 sacks? I mean, they get 3 points against the New England Patriots. They're nowhere near the Dallas Cowboys in terms of defense. Listen, you want Nick Foles? Okay. You think that's the answer? Put Nick Foles in something? Okay, all right. This motherfucker couldn't beat out a tomato can playing QB for the Bears. The Bears were like, get the fuck out of here to Nick Foles, folks. This motherfucking Nick Foles, he's been given a chance to start for more teams than a NASCAR rental car. And that motherfucker has failed at each stop. But if you think Nick Foles is the answer, okay. Hey, we just want to see something different. Okay, so you want Nick Foles to come in so you can complain about him and then say go back to Matt Ryan. Look, they can do whatever they want. If they're worried about the injury thing, go ahead and go to Nick Foles if you want. You're going to see the same thing. I think Nick Foles is less mobile even than Matt Ryan, and he's less sharp finding his receivers. His arm is probably stronger. So you'll get more passes down the field, maybe. But what you guys don't seem to get is, in order to throw the ball down the field, you have to have the time to actually be back there and do it. So you saw the pass Matt Ryan dropped on Alec Pierce yesterday down the field. So stop saying his arm, he doesn't have the arm to make those passes. Yeah, he does. He doesn't have the arm to squeeze the ball in, throwing back to the right while he's running left under the duress of 2 pass rushers to squeeze the ball 50 yards down the field in between 2 defensive backs. He doesn't have that arm. But even when you got that arm, like a Patrick Mahomes or something, that's still a very low percentage pass in those circumstances. So all I'm saying is, I'm not trying to tell you Matt Ryan is the second coming of Aaron Rodgers and no shit like that. I'm not trying to tell you he's not at the end of his career. I'm not trying to tell you his arm has lost some of his strength. I'm not trying to tell you he hasn't made some bad decisions or some bad throws. He has. Every quarterback does. I'm telling you why it's happened. It's not just so simple as, well, Matt Ryan just suddenly sucks or he's just suddenly washed. It's not that simple. And even when it comes to Jeff Saturday, some of y'all need to get the fuck over yourselves. This is what fucking cracks me up. So you have people who have never been anywhere near football at any level who think that something Jeff Saturday did or didn't do on game day shows or is an example of his quote-unquote inexperience shining through. Now, so just because someone who played for 14 years and went to the playoffs 12 times and played with the greats, was coached by the greats, Hall of Famers, okay, a guy who knows the game, has been a consultant to an NFL team for several years, just because he does something different than what you would have done, who hasn't been anywhere fucking near a football field, much less NFL, you think because he doesn't do what you think, it shows his inexperience? You don't have any fucking experience. Some of y'all, again, get the fuck over yourself. You think people in the NFL can't figure out something that seems obvious to you? Are you fucking joking? There are coaches every week who don't fucking challenge something when the fans and the media think they should, or make what seems like a boneheaded decision with clock management or what. We see that every fucking week by coaches who have been in the league for years and years, by new head coaches, by coaches that have been coaching every 2-3 years. Look, Frank Reich, for fuck's sake, had been coaching 5 years, and he was still doing shit that y'all said was crazy every week. So stop saying, oh, I think this is an example of Jeff Saturday's inexperience, and this is why it's hurting the Listen, it's not like they brought in Jeff Saturday when the Colts were 8-1 and said, hey, take this over and take us to the promised land, Jeff. The fucking team was in the shitter. It was a dumpster fire when they fired Frank Reich, and they said, let's try this guy. I think he has what it takes. So he gets an 8-game trial run. So the fuck what? Quit trying to make something into more than it is. It's not any different than if you'd taken the special teams coach and made him the interim head coach. This team would probably be in the same place. The truth is, here's what you can't deny. Jeff Saturday has gotten his team to do one thing, and that's start faster. So all of Frank Reich's experience as a head coach never helped him help his team not being a fucking 25-0 hole before they started playing. Saturday's team have at least started faster. They beat the Raiders. They took the Eagles toe-to-toe to the last play. They should have won that game, really. They lost in Dallas on the road. That isn't a big deal, really. They played Dallas toe-to-toe until the fourth quarter, when Matt Ryan and other dudes start turning the ball over. Okay, then it got crazy. But Jeff Saturday hasn't been any worse than Frank Reich. So stop this bullshit about, oh, it's a clown show because Irsay hired Saturday. Bullshit. The Colts ain't a clown show because of interim head coach Jeff Saturday. Y'all need to knock that bullshit off. The problems with the Colts are from the guys who've been here the last 5-6 years. And it wasn't Irsay. That's another thing. Everybody's like, oh, Irsay needs to stop meddling. He hasn't fucking meddled until this year. And I would say he had every fucking right to meddle. I'm glad he meddled. The guys he hired weren't doing the fucking job. They weren't getting it done. So who gives a fuck if he meddles? It's his team. People, oh, no one's going to come here because Irsay did this. Shut the fuck up. Nobody turns down a head coaching job that wants to be a head coach. You might have a couple that can have their pick. Sean Payton, maybe. But if you go and look, I mean, I don't think Sean Payton was that great, to be honest with you. Go back and look. I give him, he won a Super Bowl, so that's great. But in terms of like him being Jesus coming down in the clouds is going to turn your team around, I don't see it. I never saw it there. Other than that, matter of fact, he had a lot of supremely talented teams when he was in New Orleans. And he had a franchise quarterback, a Hall of Famer in Drew Brees. And actually, the motherfucker never really got very far, if you ask me. But hey, whatever. I'm just saying, stop this dumb shit that you're saying because you hear other people saying it. Really, knock it the fuck off. Let's stay in reality. Let's stay in facts. Let's stay in objective reality. Not just shit that motherfuckers are talking online or on the radio. I tell y'all something. Some of these motherfuckers on the radio, to be on the radio talking about the Colts and football and giving their opinions, they don't know a goddamn thing. Listen to them. These are the same motherfuckers that told you this team was going to contend this year. Now, they're all talking about how, yeah, this team, it doesn't have the players. The roster isn't constructed right. The quarterback is washed up. These are the same motherfuckers that told you at the beginning of the season, this team is going to be a monster. This team is going to contend. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about because they don't know NFL football. Most of them, they went to school for journalism, not football, not the NFL. They don't know any more than you. They just got the numbers so they can text players and coaches. That's it. Y'all miss me with that bullshit. I promise you guys, this is why I'm telling you all this. This is why I'm telling you all this. The sooner you let go of this idea that all we need is a young franchise quarterback and we're on our way to the Super Bowl, the faster you will stop having your heart stomped on every Sunday or every season. Because here's the truth. The truth is the roster of this team is not good enough to contend yet. It has some pieces, yes. It has some talent, yes, in a few positions. But it does not have enough talent in the key positions, the most important positions, to actually make a run and be a contender. And I don't know about you, motherfuckers always talking about division titles. I don't give a fuck about division titles. I don't. And no one else does either. That's something fans talk about. Winning a division title and then you have a home playoff game and lose. That doesn't benefit anybody, and no one gives a fuck about it except maybe the owners who get that extra revenue. But the truth of the matter is, I don't give a fuck about division titles. I want to get to the Super Bowl and win it. That's what I'm about. And so to do that, this roster needs serious upgrades in key positions. And so I told you before, I'm going to tell you, the person you really should be mad at, the person who has truly failed this season, it ain't fucking Matt Ryan. It wasn't even, not the biggest failure, wasn't even Frank Reich, although he's the second biggest failure, and he's been the problem for several years. The biggest failure this year, folks, the person you should be angry at, you should be wanting to run out of town, is Chris Ballard. And look, guys, see, this is the thing about me. I don't have a problem saying, hey, I thought it was this, but I was wrong. I don't have a problem saying, hey, I'm changing my mind based on new information. I'm changing my mind on Chris Ballard's performance, job performance, based on new information, new seasons that have occurred. I still think 100% Chris Ballard is a fucking genius player scout, being able to find players in the draft. I do. He's a genius at that. But his roster construction philosophy is flawed, and it is not going to be effective, I believe, in today's NFL. Look, let's talk about yesterday, because again, this is the thing Colts fans do. You guys get all zeroed in, focused in on one person, then you make excuses for all these other parts of the team and say, oh, it's that person. You did it with Frank Reich. He's the biggest problem, his play calling. Now it's Matt Ryan. Before it was Carson Wentz, although I will say last year, I went back and looked at all the games. Carson Wentz was the main problem last year, but he wasn't the only problem. You still didn't have any pass rush really last year, but he was the main problem. Had no problem getting rid of him. But what I'm telling you is when you bring Matt Ryan in here, you know what you're getting. You're getting leadership. You're getting accuracy. You're getting a guy who can read the defense, put the ball in the right place. You're not getting mobility. You're not getting a fucking cannon arm. Okay? So you build your team accordingly. Now, maybe this is what happens because, you didn't really know what you were doing at quarterback when you traded Wentz. And you said, well, this happened kind of late. Well, that's fine, but still, once you got Ryan, you knew what you had to do. Hell, before you got Ryan, you know you still need certain things in place. Here's the truth. Patrick Mahomes is going to have fucking problems with Matt Pryor playing left tackle for him. There ain't no fucking way in hell a pocket quarterback like Matt Ryan can work with Matt Pryor. For you to start the season with Matt Pryor at left tackle is a fireable offense in and of itself as a GM, for real. And it just went down from there. To start the season with that offensive line, when you have a non-mobile quarterback and you're fucking letting go very solid guards, letting somebody who's a journeyman that's played guard, never played left tackle, go and take fucking boxing lessons and then be like, look, we're going to make you a starting left tackle. Reports are even Matt Pryor told Chris Ballard he wasn't comfortable with trying to play left tackle. And I guess Ballard told him, hey, you can do it. Oh, no. I'm just saying. That shit there is malpractice. That's a fireable offense in and of itself. The roster is not constructed well. Look, y'all mad at Matt Ryan? Go back and watch the film. I did. The defense that y'all give a pass all year is very good in certain things. They are really solid, moving up and down the field. Stopping teams from scoring touchdowns a lot of times, holding them to field goals. All that's fine. But they still don't have any real vicious, dependable pass rush week in and week out. And they're 100% ass now in creating turnovers. 100% ass. You can't tell me that all their turnovers last year because they had the lead all the fucking time, because they didn't. They're not getting it done. They give up too many big plays in the clutches. The thing about the Colts defense that's so mystifying is, like, teams can't do shit against them the bulk of the game, but as soon as the team is like, okay, we're in desperation mode, we got to have it, all of a sudden, the Colts defense turn into fucking matadors in a bullfight. The teams go through them like Swiss cheese. If that team needs a final play, a final touchdown, they go through our defense like Swiss cheese. Right to a touchdown. And then, sometimes a 2-point conversion too. Like last week against the Steelers. The Steelers with Kenny Pickett. Not fucking Mahomes and the Chiefs. But y'all give them passes because you focused on Matt Ryan. The offensive line I've already talked about. Where the fuck is a blocking tight end? You can go sign a blocking tight end just off somebody's practice squad roster. Or just bring one. I mean, it's not that hard to find a blocking tight end, which they need badly now. You guys are all focused on Matt Ryan, Jonathan Taylor's fumbling the fucking ball all over the place. Mo Alley Cox, what's he doing? He's fumbling the ball, doing nothing. If you can't catch passes, at least you should be able to block, bro. You got Parks Frazier. You think Parks Frazier is doing a great job calling plays? Because I got news for you. He's not at all. I'm not going to talk you out of death about this thing because Matt Ryan had his share of fuck up in that fourth quarter. At least one of those interceptions was really bad. That one that he threw trying to make a play to Kylan Granson, I mean, that was really bad. Period in the story. But, there were sacks given up, big sacks, offensive line, fucking Q, letting a free rusher come right through the A-gap. Just a free rusher. Demolished Matt Ryan, blew up a drive. That shit, it won't stand. As much as you talk about Matt Ryan, it ain't going to happen when you're doing that. You got no blocking tight ends. The line is struggling to pick up stunts. Your wide receivers are dropping balls. I tell you, fucking Alec Pierce worries me, man. He makes some amazing catches sometimes, but the fucking balls hit this guy in the hand and he doesn't catch them way too much. Way too much. Then y'all give him a pass because he makes a great play later. And make no mistake about it, his touchdown catch was a thing of beauty. It was huge. 30, 40-yard catch down the field where he adjusted and went up high, pointed the ball from Matt. Beautiful. But every week it's like he has a lot of balls hit his hands and he doesn't come up with them. One of the fucking interceptions, I think the first one or the second one, happened because the fucking ball hit his hands. He didn't catch it. And it skipped off and right back to Malik. All of a sudden, I'm going to show the Colts hooker. Whatever, dude. Whatever. Dallas signed you for 1 year. Nobody in the league wanted you based on your tape. Stop it. That's neither here nor there. I told you, just for posterity, I'm just throwing this out there as a reminder. I told you guys after week 4, you were watching the beginning of the end of the Reich and Chris Ballard era. Reich is already gone. I wouldn't be surprised. I think Chris is gone at the end of the season. I do. This is too much. They have some pieces. Chris has made some great drafts and what have you. But just look at the Cowboys team and how they move, how they run, jump, and hit, catch, throw. And then look at the Colts, man. I'm telling you, it was an ugly, ugly comparison. The roster's just not good enough. It's not. You need a blocking tight end. You need some a dynamic wide receiver. Maybe Pierce can become that. He's not now. MPJ's not quite that now. You need a dynamic pass catcher, receiver, or tight end. But you need a blocking tight end. Look at the difference between the 2 running backs the Dallas Cowboys employ and the 2 running backs the Colts employ. Not even close. Not even close. Quarterback, not even close. Pass rush. Look at the difference between the Dallas pass rush and the Colts pass rush. Not even close. Look at the difference, guys. Look at the difference between CeeDee Lamb and everybody else that plays wide receiver for the Colts. And think about that difference. Look at the way the Dallas Cowboys offensive line, go back and look. Look at how often Dak was just standing back there going through his reads, 2, second, third, fourth read, deciding where he's going to go with the ball. Look at it. Not even close for the Colts. Matt Ryan running for his fucking life. Y'all can keep telling yourself it's Matt Ryan if you want. It's all him. Put in Nick Foles and it might get better. Keep telling yourself that. Keep telling yourself it was all Frank Reich if you want. Look, it's not about any of those guys being the sole reason. The truth is, the roster is not strong enough. And that falls directly on Chris Ballard. So, Chris, I don't know if you're going to be with us next season or not, bro. But I can only say this. Whatever needs to happen, you got to make it happen. You got to alter your philosophy, man. You got to do some things that you haven't done before. You got to switch up your philosophy, bro. You got to, or you're going to be somebody else's assistant. You'll be the next Ryan Grigson, working as somebody else's special assistant.
And let's just keep it 100, Chris. The track record of fired GMs getting another chance to be GM is not good. So whatever we got to do, let's do it.
Whatever it takes, let's set up for next season to go out and win another fucking Lombardi, baby. Peace. And win another